guys, Gilbert Can 2 with little Jade Bonsai here. Today I'm going to be working on this forest. I call it Bob's forest because a good friend of mine, Bob, gave it to me a few years back. And when he gave it to me, it pretty much just, I think it was just a bunch of cuttings that were stuck into this pot. This is actually the way it looked when he gave it to me. Of course, they were really small. They really didn't even have, any structure or anything. So all I did was pretty much just continue to trim it down, keep it trimmed down as it kind of just grew. And of course, the more you trim, the more branches you're gonna get and the thicker your tree is gonna get, the thicker your trunks are gonna get. So this is the way it looks now. I haven't trimmed it probably in about, I don't know, maybe November was the last time. November or December, somewhere around there was the last time I trimmed it. So we're in May, and so I haven't really done any trimming to it. It's just been kind of growing, and I'm kind of thinking that it is time to pull them up and maybe repot them, trim the roots. I may do that later this year, but for now, all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna trim all this back because it needs a lot of work. As you can kind of see, it's really overgrown in this pot. But it does look pretty good whenever it is trimmed back. So, and some of these, they have some thickness to them, but all I've really done is just, like I said, just kind of do my trimming down to the first pair of leaves on every branch, and it's just back budded and divided, and it's gotten pretty thick. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of work on it and just trim everything down. I'm not making any major changes on any of the branches. It's just pretty much just maintenance trimming. So let's get started. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just trimming off the bigger, longer branches because I'm going to be using those as cuttings that I'm going to be rooting. So I'm trimming off the big ones, the thicker ones, and then I'm saving them here. And then whenever I get all these trimmed off, then I'm going to go in and do my refining on the smaller branches. Because I probably won't use those for cuttings because I got plenty right here. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, I went ahead and raised it up a little higher just so we can kind of see underneath here, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to remove any growth that's kind of growing downward. The forest all has to work together, and it has to create this nice dome triangle shape, but all the trees kind of need to work within each other. We don't want it to be just one big giant canopy of leaves. We want there to be a little bit of room, a little bit of separation on some, but I guess enough room for a bird to fly through, right? Like a little small bird, a bonsai bird. So what I'm doing is now I kind of went through, I got most of the big stuff out of the way, but now I'm just kind of doing some detailed trimming, removing any branches that are kind of growing downward, creating some separation, a little separation, not too much. Like these branches right here. It's kind of hard to trim it in the right angle so you can kind of see it. So I think it's looking pretty good so far. With a forest, you want to have a dominant tree, and my dominant tree is this one back here. And remember, whenever you do have a tree that you are trimming, a lot of people get intimidated by trimming off a lot, and they think that they're harming the tree or they're going to cause some kind of damage, or they just don't want to trim off too much because they want it to look good when they're done trimming it. But what I always say is don't try to trim it for how it's going to look now. Try to trim it how it's going to look, next year or in a few years. So you're trying to create a tree that's going to look good. Like I said, 5 years is a great amount of time, but once I trim all this up, in another week or two, it's already going to be starting to fill back in. Because it is summer and I am fertilizing a lot. You could really fertilize these guys a lot and they love it. So think about how it's going to look when it fills in, not how it's going to look right when you're done trimming it. So this looks pretty good. There's some inside branches that are kind of crossing. You want to kind of remove those. You want it to, like I said, you want the trees to be individual trees, but you want them all to work together. So yeah. Like I said, my friend Bob gave me this forest that he started, and a lot of times people say, well, golly, how do you get the trunks so thick? I mean, and these are they're not huge, but for being a few years old, they thickened up pretty good. But with all these trees, aside from letting it grow like I did at the beginning of this video, I mean, they were pretty much just trimmed, maintained the shape, and that's kind of what I did. I just maintenance trimmed them. And because I maintenance trimmed them a lot, of course, they developed a lot of leaves. And of course, the more leaves you have, the thicker your trunks are going to grow to compensate, so they have enough energy to supply to the leaves. So yeah, this looks pretty good. And there's some, oh, and something else I kind of want to point out. Whenever you're displaying your trees, I mean, I say display them in my garden. You always want to rotate your trees, because what happens is, say this is the front, this is the, I have my trees on the side of my house, so they're up against the house. So they're just getting the light from the front. So I need to practice what I preach, but you could see where back here, it's not as full as it is in the front, because you want to rotate the tree. So, I mean, ideally it'd be cool to rotate it maybe once a week, But sometimes when I do remember, but most of the times I don't. So we're human, right? We all we all are human, and you know, we say we're gonna try to do something. I mean, ideally you want to water them in the morning. That's kind of like the best time. But sometimes I get busy with work and I won't water till, you know, the evenings. Okay, this looks pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, there's 13 trees in this. With a forest, you want to have an odd number of trees for aesthetic purposes. Just like a Japanese garden, you're not going to see 2 rocks together. You're going to see 1 rock. You're going to see 3 rocks, and 5 rocks, and so on. So it's the same thing with the trees. But I think, with the trees, I think this looks pretty good. Trying to get in here, getting some crazy angles on my trimming. So yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, like I said, what I think I might do, and it's probably time because these seem really set inside this pot. Yeah, they're pretty tight, but I don't know. I might this year might be the year that I'm gonna repot this thing. So what I'll do is I'll pull it up, I'll trim the roots. I may remove some trees and kind of put the more attractive trees down. There's a few back here that are they're okay. They're just leaning. But everything they've all grown up in this pot. So yeah, I might separate them and put some in individual pots. So yeah, I think that's about it. I think it looks pretty good. I think I'm gonna I'll leave it in here. Maybe this summer, later this summer, I'll repot it. But for now, I think it looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a good fertilize after this because I cut a lot of branches off, and it already has a bunch of energy that's gonna be going up into the leaves, into the branches. But I'm gonna give it an extra boost with some fertilizer. So that's about it. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I have a couple of interesting videos coming up, so you don't want to miss those. And yeah, go ahead and share away and let me know what you think in the comments. And thanks for watching.